Hello YouTubers, I want to welcome you to another edition of Bargain Bin Gear. And recently, I've gotten a pedal that is no longer made, but that is essential to my pedal board. And I'll show you what it is. I've got it here, so we're going to have an unboxing. Please don't try this at home. Only trained professionals should attempt. Okay, here we go. So there's the box. Got some wrapped paper. Here it is. Now you may be saying to yourself, but what is this pedal? I'll show you. It's the Source Audio Soleman. As you can tell, it's got a little screen here, here, a little screen. Some tiny buttons here, and then 4 foot switches. And basically, you'll notice on the side it's got MIDI in and out, and the out twice. This is basically a MIDI controller. Right? So if you have a pedal board full of pedals, this is the way to control them. Right, and so you can program a sound, and then on the second button a different sound, third button a different sound, fourth button a different sound, and then you can go up banks and those kinds of things. Right? Now, interestingly, this used to be a very expensive pedal. Nowadays, it can be had for about $100. Just crazy to me anyway. So I remember these being closer to $300, but no longer. Now, quite interestingly, the maker, Source Audio, has completely disowned this product. And if you go to their website, there's no mention of it at all. It comes with an editor software that you can't download. There's no link, no nothing. So shame on Source Audio for not supporting their past products. Very disappointing. And yet, this little pedal is really cool because on one foot switch you can have it program several program changes, MIDI program changes, and continuous controllers. So it really gives you a amount of control over your pedals that are MIDI enabled. So I have to admit, I've been snapping these up as much as I can because they're really essential for my pedal board, which consists of individual pedals, such as the Line 6 HX1, the Eventide H9, and the Specular Tempest reverb and delay pedal. And so because of the Soleman, you can program sounds, like the first sound could be a delay, second sound could be a bass sound, third sound could be a reverb sound, fourth sound could also be a different reverb sound, and then you could step up the banks, right, and start all over again with 4 different sounds, right, and it keeps on going and going, and there's quite a few banks. I mean, I think it's like 32 banks or something like that. Now, interestingly, this has obviously been on a pedal board, because you'll notice here somebody had cut looks like a piece of plexiglass or something, and looks like it's glued on, and then there's little Velcro type things here. It looks like dual lock, quite frankly. Right? Interestingly enough. So, no point in taking it off. I mean, if it's going to work, it's going to work. So it's very specific as far as programming the button. In fact, on mine originally, the first button I programmed it to just bypass, to turn off all the pedals. Fairly straightforward. The second one turns off all the pedals except for the Line 6 HX1, and I set it to be a bass octave. Then the third one is the Eventide H9 reverb. However, if you hit the button again, instead of turning it off, instead it engages the HX1, which has a kind of a swell sound, where you can hit the note, right, but you don't hear the pick attack, so it just kind of swells in. And so I put that as a secondary function on these last 2 foot switches, right? So one push is just the reverb on, the second push is kind of a swell function. And then I also use an extra foot switch to go up and down the banks, right? This is just a normal foot switch, 2 pedals, or 2 foot switches. And I hit one of those and it takes me up a bank, which then are my delays and things. And then the third bank could be, phasers and things like that. Fourth bank could be synth pedals or and I'm stunned that Source Audio, I don't know, they must have gotten too many complaints, because it's kind of difficult to use, I guess, to program and things. I mean, they totally disown it. If you go on the Source Audio website, there's nothing about the soleman. Hard to believe. It's a great product. I don't understand why they would do something like that. Because with the Soleman editor, it makes it very simple to program this. I've seen similar pedals However, it's horrendous to try to program it, because basically you have to hit foot switch after foot switch after foot switch after foot switch, you know, to program it. Whereas here it's just software editor. It really bothers me, because for people who spent money on this product, you know, and then it seems like it's not supported anymore. Kind of a shame. Luckily, I couldn't find the software either. Luckily, I had a copy of it on my PC, one of my PCs, an older one, right? So I made sure to keep a copy of it, because you can't even find the software for it. Now, I'll admit, I didn't contact Source Audio to ask them about the software and firmware updates or anything like that. Because I have the software for it, and it does what I want. And this pedal is kind of odd, because it has different modes. Like, one is a straight ahead preset mode, right? Then you can also make a set list kind of thing. It's almost like they didn't know what this pedal was going to be exactly. You know? Anyway. And I'm really pleased with these. However, it has an Achilles heel. That is the power connector. I have one that works fine, but has to be powered by the USB port, because the little power jack is broken. It's flaky, let's put it that way. You plug it in, it doesn't always power up all the time. Makes no sense, but that's the way it is. Hopefully this one's not like that. Right? So I just gotten it. And for the price, for the $100, it's a real bargain. You know? And it's quite specific to what it does. So many people just aren't familiar with it. And the fact that Source Audio totally disowned it. That's sad. Alright, well anyway, let me show you what it does exactly. Okay, so here's the Soleman plugged in. And there you have a little LED strip. Remember, this is to go on a pedal board. There's your 4 foot switches. So every time you switch on a foot switch, right, it changes the preset. Pretty straightforward. And then you hook up your MIDI connection on the side to go out to your pedals. Pretty cool. So on its own, the Soleman pedal from Source Audio doesn't make any sound, right? However, what it does do is give you real control over a group of separate pedals, such as on a pedal board, right? Because not only can it turn a pedal on and off, and it can also tell it to go to a certain preset on the pedal, right? And it can do that with multiple pedals, right? quite impressive when you think of it. And it's doing it all via MIDI. Fortunately, I had a cat named Midi, but he passed away. Very sad. But anyway, so it uses MIDI. You can also hook up an expression pedal to it and that kind of thing. But for me, in its basic form, what it does do is just controls the pedals on the pedal board. Right? And does it very easily via the software. You know, but without the software, then the pedal, you know, which doesn't make any sound, if there's no way to program it, then it's kind of useless. Now keep in mind that a lot of modern pedals have this functionality, right, of controlling different sounds and different pedals. So they're virtual pedals, like on the new XMG30, the Plethora X5, the Line 6 HX effects, and so on and so on. They have this built in. But for separate pedals, right, this works perfectly. I think it's a real shame that they don't make it anymore. It's really hard to believe. Alright, so for the small pedal board, start off with the Disaster Area Design Smart Clock, and then the Line 6 HX1, right? And then over here we've got the Specura Tempest Reverb and Delay, the Aventide H9, the Soleman, right? MIDI controller. And here's that foot switch. It's kind of huge, actually. Big old Behringer foot switch. These usually came with an amp. You know, one of the Behringer amps. But I found that it works great with the Soleman. And then the Boss RC5 looper, which is fine. Or sometimes I use this beast over here, which is the Boomerang 3 amp sidecar. It's kind of on its own pedal board there. Okay, so basically, really, the Boomerang makes this entire pedal board function, basically, right? That's why it's such a shame that they stopped making it. I don't know if they still support it or not, you know, but boy, they sure sanitized their website of it. I mean, there's not even like a legacy page or anything that I saw anyway. I mean, just nothing, like they never made it, which is kind of crazy, really. I assume that they would still support it, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, to be able to pick one up these days for, you know, $100 is just crazy. Because, yeah, as I mentioned, it was a really expensive pedal at the time. You know, but now it's kind of been abandoned, you know. You can pick them up, yeah, for basically $100 or less, which is a super deal, really. Okay, so I wanted to show you that, and I'm glad I picked another one up. The one that I have on my board now it has the power plugged in, but the power jack is kind of flaky, and so I use the USB port from my computer, which is right there, you know, nearby, and plug the pedal board and power it that way, right? Or power the Soleman that way. You know, it's not ideal, but it at least makes it functional, you know. Now the new one doesn't have that issue with the power port, which is really superb, you know, because then I can just remove the USB port, right, and it'll just be powered by the pedal board via a power cable, you know, from the power distribution unit underneath the pedal board. Pretty cool. Okay, anyway, but I'm really happy with the sounds of the pedal board with individual pedals rather than an all-in-one, you know, kind of like the HX effect, which is this huge beast over here, this thing, which sounds great, by the way, but I just really enjoy the individual pedals. The sounds it creates is really great. Alright, now here's the Soleman editor software, right, and it really lets you, well, besides updating firmware, of course, you can create backups of your presets and so on. And then here, you've got actually, I don't know if you can see that, there's switch 4, right, so you can load up different presets and so on. And here you can set up continuous controllers and program changes and so on. So it may not be much to look at, but it certainly does the job and does it well. Alright, now just to give you an idea, I've got it hooked up here to my pedal board, right? And if we go through just the first bank, the first one is just a bypassed. All the pedals are bypassed. Okay. The second one is a bass sound. The third one is the Eventide H9, just a reverb sound. And then the fourth one is the Specular Tempest, different reverb sound. However, the last two, the two reverbs, right, if I hit it again, instead of turning it off, it actually turns on the HX1. It gives me a swell effect, kind of. Okay. third one, for example, which is the Eventide H9. If I hit it again, I get the swell sound. Pretty cool. And now if I hit the Behringer, this is just a pedal, foot switch basically. And I can go up and down the banks of the soleman using the Behringer foot switch. It could be any foot switch really. And I hit the first one, then it will take me to the Eventide H9, just a delay. That's basically the delay with the Eventide, or I'm sorry, the Specular Tempest reverb. And then same kind of thing, we go to the second one. Gives you a different sound. Switch again and get the swell. Just a different kind of delay. A different kind of delay. Fourth one is a different kind of sound. and go to the next one. And same kind of thing, I can do the swell by hitting the button again. Go to the third one. So I could loop that with the Boss RC5 looper. And then add kind of a bass line or what have you. You could loop that. And then could do the swell sound or what have you. Okay, so that's the Soleman, and I'll show you the app here, and hopefully I can do a backup of my current Soleman and replace it with a new one, you know. The other thing is, for this pedal board, using the disaster area design smart clock. Keeps everything in tempo, synced up, you know. And that was quite tricky to get working, actually. I finally figured it out, though, I think. And I have to make a correction, because I found a Source Audio Legacy software. It's got the firmware update, it's got the Soleman editor, and so on. So they do kind of support it, which is really great. So I don't know what happened when I tried to look before. It wasn't there, or I couldn't find it. But here it came right up. And in fact, I just downloaded the Soleman editor software again, which is really super. So even though Source Audio doesn't make the pedal anymore, the software is available for it, which is great news. Okay, well, the fact that I found the software for it is really great. So I shouldn't be too harsh on Source Audio. You know, who knows the reason why they stopped making it. But at least they have a legacy page with the software and firmware update, which is great. You know, so it makes buying these old used Source Audio pedals worthwhile. You know, because remember, without the software, you're kind of SOL as far as that goes. There's not much you can do. So, pretty cool. And one can only guess why they stopped making the pedal, because it's really great. In fact, I have not found a pedal that's easier to use as far as the setting up program changes and continuous controllers and being able to manage them, you know, so that once they're loaded, you know, you don't have to hook up to the PC when it's just on your board, and it controls the individual pedals, which is really super, you know, via MIDI, I think. And I mean, I've looked at other controllers, you know, but I haven't found one that's quite as simple, you know. Most of them, they don't even have an editor, and they just, you know, you have to hit foot switches, you know, 6 times or 3 times to reach this one, and so on and so on, which is not very helpful. Okay, very good. I will see you next time. Okay.